Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Joe2 in Love, here with another episode of Sports OV Topics. Let's not waste too much time here. Let's dive right into it. We had 6 unique playoff games for wildcard weekend. Saturday through Monday. And all had a unique pace, I would say. In essence, 4 out of 6 were one possession for the final score. All were close in their own right, but yeah. So the 14-team tournament is now down to 8. So some good stuff here, along as we preview divisional round and much more. But thank you for joining me. If you're new to the podcast and you want to see more, click the subscription there in the corner. Click on HO2 in Love. You can find all sports OV topics there on the channel. But alas, thank you. Let's get started. So, wildcard weekend started off for the NFL on Saturday afternoon with the third meeting between the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. Now, when it comes to a division rival and when it comes to, let's face it, it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a row. And the question was, both quarterbacks, Geno Smith, Brock Purdy, how would both react in their playoff debuts? Because we know Geno Smith has had a heck of a season for his own right, with the Seahawks getting them to the playoffs, having a Pro Bowl year. Brock Purdy, we know, has been a sensation, but alas, he's a rookie. And how would the rookie fare in his first outing in the postseason in a winner-go-home scenario? It was a dicey first half, we have to say. A dicey first half. The Seahawks were very much in it. Brock Purdy seemed a bit tight, I'd say. Besides a few long plays to Debo and to Christian McCaffrey, and a couple good ones to kill, the offensive rhythm felt a bit out of sorts for the 49ers. And the momentum was strange because 49ers were up 13-7, and then all of a sudden the Seahawks get a nice little drive going and then hit a shot to DK Metcalf, which lands in the end zone for a touchdown to take the lead by 1. And then 49ers lead, nice drive, which you would think was going to end the half with them being ahead by 2, 16-14. But alas, when Geno Smith was going for a slide down near the 50, and Jimmy Ward lays in a hit up high while Geno Smith is sliding, gives him a 15-yard penalty, and last brings Jason Myers, the only Pro Bowl kicker at the NFC this year, gives him a manageable field goal with 56, and he drills it. And then all of a sudden, the Seahawks have the momentum, seemingly up by one, 17-16. You're like, the Seahawks are gonna make it ugly. And then the turnarounds came. Because it looked like to start the second half that was going to be more of the same. 49ers drove down the field, got a touchdown to take back the lead 23-17. And then all of a sudden the Seahawks drive down to tie, if not take the lead. And then a big fumble. That was really the turning point. The fumble recovered by Nick Bosa, and 49ers lead down to get a touchdown off that, and it just fell wide open after that. And if the Seahawks were going to win, they had to play clean football, and they were doing that for the majority of that time. And then penalties are coming. That fumble, it was just not to be, and then the 49ers pulled away. And Brock Purdy did very well in his playoff debut. Now, just a question of how long can he keep the train moving. That's really the only question. But alas, that roster is so good. It's a playoff or a Super Bowl caliber roster. So you're like, how far can they really take it? Is the question. But alas, good for Brock Purdy, good for all the 49er faithful. The Seahawks, I will say, put up a good fight for the majority. To me and many others, they overachieved and they exceeded expectations this season, and they should be proud of that. Because I thought they were rebuilding, honestly, this year, despite me loving their draft class with Boye Mafe, Kenneth Walker, Charles Cross, and Abraham Lucas. I just felt like they were a bit, maybe a year away, but now as they showed that they're still here to compete. Now, Geno Smith said he wanted to end his career as a Seahawk. Well, with the Russ Wilson trade, Seahawks have 2 first-round picks. Now, this draft is expected to be more QB heavy than last year. So, question is, can one of these highly talented quarterbacks fall to Seattle? It's a question. But alas, they got some good pieces still on their roster, and they're still here. Speaking of still here, the Jags. Now I'm making it 6 straight. as the Jags were 4-8 and win the division, come all the way back 27-0 Chargers. Final score 31-30 Jaguars. I mean, Trevor Lawrence. 4 interceptions in the first half. 4. 27-7 at halftime. And then all of a sudden the Jags just make stops. They start scoring, and then a missed field goal by Cameron Dicker, who, by the way, I think is, if Justin Tucker for some reason doesn't attend the Pro Bowl games this year, Cameron Dicker, I think, is right behind him and Daniel Carlson for replacements for the AFC. But yeah, I mean, he missed the field goal, Jaguars getting a touchdown. Penalty on Joey Bosa, and takes it to be a 2-point game. They drive down, kick the game-winning field goal. I mean, now you do have to side with Joey Bosa in a couple aspects. Some of that, I mean, you do have to admit that the false start should have been called. And that escalated into a touchdown. The offsides, I mean, really didn't seem too much offsides at the second look. And that took away a sack, which ended up being a touchdown. So, I mean, it's like, you do have to side with Joey Bosa in that perspective, but at the same time, for a captain of the team, one of the best players, I mean, you gotta keep your composure to an extent. And yeah, gotta cost the team in a bit. Yeah, Trevor freaking Lawrence. The confidence is there. The offense, I mean, you still look at that team and you wonder, how did they not have a Pro Bowler this season? Trevor Lawrence had a good season. Travis Etienne had a good season. I mean, I know there's a lot of good players in the league, but Luke Fortner had a hell of a season at center for a rookie. I mean, Olukon, middle linebacker they picked up a free agency. He again led the league in tackles, 184. I mean, geez, Rayshon Jenkins. Yeah, heck of a year as well. From a safety, I mean, just jeez. But alas, Jaguars did, and they're going. They could very well beat Kansas City. I mean, when you look back at the first game, which I'll get into in a bit, but they played close in that game. They had some hiccups, but they showed they can hang with Kansas City. That's all I'll say. But as for the Chargers, I mean, feel for Justin Herbert. Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack, but the stat line that is confusing as hell for me. Austin Eckler, less than 50 yards rushing. He has been a touchdown magnet this season. He's a dynamic playmaker to move the chains, to decrease time on the clock for the Jaguars and their opportunities to get back in the game. They didn't do it. I don't know. And I mean, Mike Williams not being there. Gerald Everett had a hell of a game. Hell of a game. You feel for Justin Herbert. At the same time, the whole team kind of let them down at while being up 27-0. I mean, jeez. One hell of a ride, you could say. Bills has pretty scare against the Dolphins, but they won a close one. You know, no Tua. Teddy Bridgewater was there, but as the backup with the finger injury, pinky finger. Skylar Thompson. I'll say this: he played well and could have played great if his receivers had made some catches early. He could have ended up playing great. And that defense played very well. Great. They harassed Josh Allen. I mean, few interceptions, that fumble recovery for a touchdown. I mean, they did what they had to do with no Tua and a banged up Teddy Bridgewater, and they almost pulled it out. I mean, they almost got it done. But the Bills found a way. They found a way. And Skylar Thompson, give credit. Give credit where credit's due. But Bills just found a way. You know, Skylar Thompson had a rookie mistake. You know, throwing that interception, which led to an easy touchdown by the Bills, extending their lead. I mean, there were some weird calls, definitely. But, yeah, Bills found a way. They found a way. Same with the Giants. 31-24, they beat the Vikings in Minnesota. You know, I felt he had a feel in some ways that this was kind of a lose-lose kind of game in retrospect for the NFL in a couple of directions. The reason I say is because, well, Kirk Cousins, Daniel Jones. Okay, if the Vikings win, Kirk Cousins gotta be praised in some aspect. Giants win, Daniel Jones. I'm happy for Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, you know, had a hell of a day. Hell of a day. And, before this year, it was hard to access Daniel Jones, but at the same time, with the results, he knew what the narrative would be. But Daniel Jones has shown this year with Brian Dable at the helm, he's a very stable quarterback, and he's cleaned up his mistakes, and he's shown beside a good team. And I apologize to Giants fans. I said I didn't think they had the firepower to push Minnesota in the mouth like we've seen for the times that they've lost in the regular season. Because that was kind of the thing with Minnesota. Either they win a close one or they get punched in the mouth and they get basically blown out. Well, this time it was a close one, but at the same time, Giants kind of punched them in the mouth, and the defense let them down. Kirk Cousins, when we look back at this season for the Vikings, and I know the narrative is still going to be there, Kirk Cousins has underachieved. Kirk Cousins had a hell of a season, one of, if not his best season in Minnesota, leading them to some of their best victories you've seen for a Vikings fan. Over Buffalo, the largest comeback in NFL history against Colts. But the defense was the number one problem for the Vikings all season. I mean, the close one versus Jets. I mean, you can go on and on. Commanders. I mean, needless to say, they're I mean, my 2 orders of business, I would say, as a Vikings fan, fire Ed Donatel, and, if you could, trade Kirk Cousins, try to get something out. But at the same time, keep him. I mean, he's not their main problem. I get it, but at the same time, he's not their main solution. So, it's going to be curious how they go for Vikings going forward. I mean, it's a whirlwind, certainly say. But good for the Giants, good for Saquon, good for Daniel Jones. I mean, both those guys are going to be in for some new contracts in the offseason, that's for sure. Boy, does it feel good to pick an actual score right. 24-17, Bengals beat the Ravens. Tyler Huntley play a heck of a game. And they were this close from tying up, or if not, taking the lead late. With that last-ditch Hail Mary. I mean, they were this close. But I mean, the play of the game. Tyler Huntley fumbles at the 1 yard line, trying to QB sneak it over the top to take the lead away from 17-17. Ball gets knocked out of his hands. Sam Hubbard picks up and goes 98 yards for a touchdown. Now, I will say, because this has got people's attention, yes, it was a block in the back by the fellow Bengals defender on Mark Andrews on the return. Well, I meant that. So, but at the same time, I feel like it was a close game. It was a razor thin game. And probably wouldn't have got a touchdown, called back, maybe a field goal by the Bengals, but it just felt like that way. Felt like it'd be touchdown or field goal type of day, and it was a hell of a game nonetheless, and the Bengals will get another crack at the Bills in the division round. Boy, that should be something. In Buffalo. That should be something. And then the cap off wildcard weekend. Cowboys, in a strange way, they beat the Bucks 31-14. The Bucks had their chances. The Bucks had their chances. I mean, imagine this. Imagine they get a touchdown instead of throwing that pick in the end zone. Okay, that's 7 more, providing he makes the extra point. Brady hits Mike Evans wide open, 10.5. They kick a field goal. Okay, that's another 10 points. 9 at least. Mike Evans hits that or connects on that long touchdown at the end. That's another. So that's at least, 15 to 17 points. And the score will look handsomely different. Now, of course, you do have to admit, Brett Maher missed 4 out of 5 extra points. 4 out of 5. Or I should say 1 for 5. He was on extra points, but you get the occasion. So, talk about 35-31. Either way, Bucks had their chances, and they couldn't capitalize. And that pretty much sums up the weird, inconsistent Bucks season. We know they have the talent, but they just couldn't really finalize it together. Now, Brady, certainly one thing, for anybody to go through a divorce and have that really seep through your season when you're a quarterback as accomplished as you are, trying to get through that season. And that's something. But alas, just didn't really go to expectations. 2 Bucks, and they still finished a decent 8-9, won the division, but it just wasn't what people expected. Cowboys, Dak Prescott, okay, he showed me what I need to see. He had some hell of a performance with his day. Credit to Dak. He had that performance that I was talking about that, in the playoffs, on the road, in a unique environment, he got it done. Question is now, can he just keep it going? Because Cowboys have not been to the NFC title game since the last one, the Super Bowl. So, tough one for Frisco. We'll see about that. As far as the Bucks, this puts the Tom Brady in some unique scenarios because, Bruce Arians was the most aggressive coach you could really have, head coach. To go from him, no offense to Todd Bowles, but to go from him to a defensive, conservative head coach like Todd Bowles, the system's really different. Really different. I mean, yeah. And, Tom Brady, some scenarios are out there for him, seeing some online suggesting the Jets. I thought, okay, well, Josh McDaniels, they're probably going to shop Carr. Maybe Brady rejoins McDaniels and that crew in Las Vegas. That's thought. I mean, there are some ideas, but Brady, we can tell, took a step back this season, and you don't want to see him play too much past his welcome. That's the thing. And we know Brady has his deal with Fox, in the bag, no matter what. So, I'm grateful to Brady for everything he's done for the Patriots. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Before we get into my predictions for the divisional round, 4 hell of games this weekend, gotta mention Jayson Tatum. Jayson Tatum broke Larry Bird's record for most 50-point games for Celtic, and another 50-point performance, 51 the other night. I mean, hell of a... He is one of the unique tiers in the MVP conversation. I mean, you got Luka, you got Jokic, you got Zion even, and then you also got Jayson Tatum, Zion, I mean, Lauren Markkanen, I would put in John Morant. You get the picture. But, I mean, great for Tatum and great season for the Celtics is going so far. And Julius Randle, Julius Randle. Julius Randle became the first Knick since Patrick Ewing to record a 40-point, double-digit rebound game performance in Knicks history. So, heck of an accomplishment for Julius Randle, who had borderline MVP season last season or a couple seasons ago. And then now it seems like he's picking up kind of where he left off and having RJ Barrett, Jalen Brunson season he's having. The Knicks are a team to watch out for, I'd say, in the Eastern Conference this season. Started with 14. Now we're down to 8. As the divisional round of the NFL playoffs is nearby. So let's see how it goes. But we got 4 intriguing matchups showing out through Saturday and Sunday. So let's get on to them, shall we? Saturday afternoon. Jaguars coming off that 27-point comeback. First, the Chargers going to Kansas City. A rematch of the regular season. Chiefs 8.5-point favorites. Now, looking back at the first game between the Jags and Chiefs, it was much more competitive than the score suggested. That's for sure. I mean, the Jags had their opportunities. They scored the drives. Rodney Patterson probably had his worst game of the season, missing a number of kicks, which obviously would have made the game heck of closer. Now, credit, maybe the Chiefs would have scored more, but either way, you get the picture. Jags had their opportunities. Now, if they go down 27-0 versus the Chiefs, that's a wrap. That's a wrap. And now I don't think Trevor Lawrence is going to throw 4 picks in the first half. That's the other thing. I think it'll be more crisper. Now, it's been a weird season for the Chiefs. Despite getting double digits, despite getting, number 1 seed, it's been a weird season for the Chiefs. I say that because, Mahomes lost Tyreek Hill, and Mahomes still puts over 5,000 yards with a Scantling, with a Juju, Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, still Travis Kelce. But credit to the Chiefs offense. Isaiah Pacheco has done a hell of a job for them. Eight and a half is too much. Just too much. Say for Jags. This just has a weird feeling part game about it. I'm going to go 27-24 Jaguars over Chiefs. Giants at Philly. This could be a very ugly game. Very ugly. In a weird way. Giants, Daniel Jones had a great day versus the Vikings. And we know the Vikings defense has been their number one Achilles heel all throughout the season. Ultimately led to their downfall being one done in the playoffs. Now they're going to Philly, who they've met twice. I mean, Philly's defense obviously better than Minnesota's. Their front seven is much better than Minnesota's as well. But Giants offensive line, we can agree on, is healthy, and when they're healthy, they're very credible. Andrew Thomas on the left side, Evan Neal on the right side, Nick Gates in the middle. I mean, John Feliciano. They're very credible. So, I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park for the front seven of the Eagles D line. Now, question will be about Lane Johnson. That's the biggest question. And Jalen Hurts, how healthier is he from week 18? That's the other thing. So, feels like it may be a sluggish, slow scoring type of affair. Just has that feel with it. Again, 7.5, I don't know. I'm gonna go with the Eagles though, 22-17. And they advance. Host the NFC title game. But against whom? Bengals at Bills. Bills 5-point favorites. I mean, we know the story. The game and Cincinnati was controlling that game for how it was. Delmar Hamlin incident. Great that he's healthier. Great that he was in the Bills facility. Just great that he's healthy and he's back with the team. Now it's in Buffalo. And credit. The Bengals kind of got screwed over with all this mess when it mostly comes down to it. The team that mostly got screwed was the Bengals because they had a chance to get the 1 seed. The Chiefs were basically automatically placed into 1 seed with the game being canceled. So, now, if Bengals Chiefs or Bills Chiefs is the AFC title game. It will be played neutral site in Atlanta. But if the Bengals advance, then face Kansas City, they'll have to in Kansas City. So that's the other thing. Now they still have a chance to host the AFC title game if they win and the Jaguars beat the Chiefs, how I predict, but nonetheless, I mean, it was a weird feeling vibe for the Bengals. Now they go play Buffalo, and this was in Cincy. I'd have a different feel, but this is just going to be an all-out clinic. I mean, I don't know what to say, except 34-28. Bills win. Barely cover on Sunday. And then on Sunday afternoon or evening-ish, Cowboys going to San Fran. The lowest line of the weekend. 49ers 3.5-point favorites. You know, this is a unique matchup. You have now Purdy versus Dak. Obviously, Dak, has more to prove than Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's still a rookie, I mean, he has this great team around him. I mean, he's exceeded expectations. If they lose Sunday, then as far as Purdy goes, he'll be good. The team, though, it'll feel as a disappointment because we know how great that roster is. But Dak clearly has I would say the more desperation around him because now with that win, he is the oldest quarterback, funny enough, left in the playoffs. Oldest starter left in playoffs at 29 years of age. So, certainly a question. Now, this is going to clearly be a game of the trenches. You got the O-line of the Cowboys, which is very good and is healthy. See about Jason Pierce, but relatively healthy against Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, Drake Jackson, Javon Kinlaw. It's going to be a fun matchup, as well as vice versa. I mean, you got Trent Williams versus Michael Parsons. I mean, you got McGlinchey and Brunskill versus Lawrence Armstrong, DeMarcus Lawrence. I mean, get gist of it. It's going to be a fun way. And it might as well be a low-scoring game. It has kind of that feel to it. 49ers win 24-16. And we get 49ers, Eagles. So based on my predictions, my final four, Bills, Jags, AFC title game. 49ers, Eagles, NFC. That's a hell of a final four, I must say. But we'll see. We'll see. Anyways, those are my picks. Thank you for joining me on this another edition of Sports Heavy Topics. Like the video, leave a like, leave a thumbs up there in the corner. How about the video? How about the channel? Click on the subscriptions. HO Chewing Love in the corner. But thank you. Be safe. See you guys next week. Adios. Peace.